Everybody, welcome to Resident Evil channel. Alright guys, today I'm going to be talking about Selena, the series. Alright guys, let me keep it real with you 100%. In case you guys just want a quick answer, no, the series does not represent, I feel like, who Selena is, like the full story. Which is why I don't encourage you to watch it. I ended up binge watching the whole thing, mostly just because I was like, I need to do this video because I need to do it and I need to make sure that I know what I'm talking about when I do it. Because honestly, after the first episode, I was just like, this is horrible. But yeah, so the rest of the video I'm going to be diving into why I think that this doesn't represent who Selena is, and I guess why I kind of am the person to talk about this, or one of the people. Alright, so first of all, I want to start off by saying that I grew up with Selena. I grew up watching, the movie. I grew up watching, like, her concert. I grew up, I remember, like, when they did the 10-year anniversary of her passing, I remember watching that on TV. Like, Univision did, like, something where they took out all, like, these clips and videos and interviews of her, and they just, like, showed it. Many artists came to, like, sing her songs. All this. I remember watching all this whole big thing that they did. And of course, you're never going to know her the way that, we know celebrities today. Because, first of all, this was prior to the whole Instagram everything fad, of course. So you didn't get the, like, insider look into their lives. And then second of all, she's passed away, so you can only know so much about her. And I think that goes to say, including her own family, and then another thing that kind of, like, I guess gives me a little bit more credibility was the fact that I read this book, Selena con Amor, or To Selena with Love, because I believe he wrote it in English first, is the book written by her husband. He talks about their love story. He goes in depth more about who she was. Like, I've learned a little bit more about Selena this book. Real quick, about this particular book, when you read this book, I really highly recommend it, especially if you really want to get to know Selena a little bit more, reading this, because first of all, the way, when watching the movie, they romanticize their romance, but really, it's actually, their romance is actually more romantic. He is still in love with her after all these years. Like, he wrote this, I think, 2012, 2015, I'll correct myself here. And the way he talks about her, it's breathtaking. Like, you're like, dang, this is the telenovela love, the type of love you think we all want. Like, he respects her and loves her so much. And in this book, and he's not a writer. Let's also take that in mind as well. He is not a writer. And why I'm emphasizing that is because he writes very simply. Like, he's like, especially, like, I remember I just read, like, reread the clip of where, like, he was like, I was going to the hospital. They call me. They tell me she's sick. She got shot. And I'm going and I want to hold her in my arms. And literally that's what he says. He doesn't make it metaphors, analogies, puts the punctuation in the right spot. Nothing. He's very simple. And which makes it even more conveying. So everything he's saying is like A, B, C. And doesn't try to trip you up like most writers do. And doesn't try to make it flowery or anything. So, and I think with his simplicity, he showed how much he really cared about her in this book. Honestly, I highly recommend this book because I was torn apart by how much he really loved her and how much he still misses her till this day. But the reason I'm bringing it up, because even though he showcases how much he loves her in this book and how, like, he really deeply cared for her and how the relationship worked, he also talks about their problems. He talks about, like, we had these, like, little fights. Like, there was a moment when I wanted to leave the band and she was like, no, I don't want you to leave the cast. One, you're going to go on tour, and I know how you are on tour. I've seen it firsthand. And on top of that, you're going to try and, like, hook up with other girls. She was like, no. He talks about even the relationship that she's had with her own family. She was like, we used to live pretty close by, and sometimes, like, she would have fights with her dad. She was, like, the fame was really starting to get to her at this moment. She was getting very anxious. He talks about all of this in the book, and, you get to see a different light of Selena. You get to see, like, she was human. She wasn't perfect, like, how, like, even the movie represented. Like, in the movie, she's always very happy, very, very bubbly, very charismatic. She was all those things, but at the same time, like, in the back, she was very stressed out. She had anxiety. She knew what she wanted. She liked things her way. Like, you show, like, the three-dimensional Selena. And it was, like, and for me, it didn't honestly, like, break who she was. It didn't break who she represented. It just added another layer to Selena, which I think made her even more beautiful in my eyes, when I read this. And especially because, again, I'm reading it through a perspective of someone who loved her. So, like, again, the way he writes about her, it's beautiful. Like, I fell in love with Selena after reading this. So after all of that, and then to see this show, which doesn't really focus on Selena, you would be surprised. It really doesn't. It focuses on her brother and her father and what they did to help get her to a certain point. And I think that's one of them that the LA Times says as well. They're like, well, this isn't exactly a story about Selena. This is a story of trying to showcase like how she was built. And I think that as it is interesting to see certain things. Like I found it interesting to see how her brother, because they go into like how her brother like wrote her songs and like how he kind of got inspiration and all of that. You kind of got to see a little bit more about how her family interacted, but it's still not enough. Because my biggest critique, and I'm not even going to go on about how the actress, I honestly don't think this was the best choice to represent who Selena was. Like, honestly, you can talk about her dance, you can talk about her lip sync skills, you can talk about even her charismatic ability. She did hit that accent though. Selena had like a specific way that she talked, and that actress really did a good job about that. But there was just certain things she just couldn't hit them. There was a lot of things she couldn't hit the mark. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the story itself. They just made her too perfect, and you can make Selena too perfect in a movie because it's only 2.5 hours long, and I think even in the movie with JLo, they also show a little bit of her flaws, not a lot, but they do show some flaws of Selena. And I understand that because, Selena, she passed away, they're trying to also respect her memory. And I understand that, and especially because this is also being approved by her sister, who loved Selena. And, she's like, this seems pretty accurate. And I understand that, but at the same time, you aren't giving us what essentially the fans really want, which is a deep inside look to who Selena is. And to see her being moody, her crying, her falling apart, her throwing a tantrum, like all of these things I think we wanted to see as fans and what we expected to see an insider look. And of course you're never going to get that full perspective because, she has passed away. And, and that's through time, especially with someone who passes away, you romanticize who they were when they were alive, and you don't want to disrespect their memory. So they're never going to show you that. And then to go on and to go into detail about what her family did and how they handled certain business, unfortunately for me, it's not as interesting. It's not what as fans we care about. We care about, how she designed certain things, how she met her husband, and this is what I do. I will say this. I think I like the way she met her husband a little bit better in the show than I do in the movie, because literally he walks in, she opens the door, she's like, and then the song "I Could Fall in Love" plays in the background, and I started dying. I was laughing when that happened. I was like, if I could, I was like, that's so funny. Why did you guys do that? But I think that's also so funny. And again, so it's like, I feel like we're missing a story here. And we're telling a different story that, no offense, fans don't really care about. And you're also not giving us the moments that we want to see, You're not giving us, the stage movements. And also, here's another thing. They also showcase, when her dad kicks Chris out of the band. There's that moment. And, and Chris also talks about that moment here. Which, again, I highly recommend reading this book. If you want, all the stuff that I think we wanted out of the Selena series, as a fans, read his book. You will get everything you want out of it. And so the moment that they filmed it in the series, they didn't do a good job because, first of all, they make it through a third person, but they have her fans sitting in this weird gas station diner, seeing him getting kicked out for a second. I'm like, why would you guys do this? So you're not having that confrontation with Abraham, nothing. You guys are just doing this, and then he gets kicked out in 3 seconds, and then. I don't know, and from what I understood, even from this book, he was with them for a while, and then he gets kicked out, and I think he got kicked out a lot sooner here, so it's just, you're trying to give us more time with Selena this year, but at the same time, you're cutting things so fast. I thought we were honestly going to meet Chris, because this is called part 1. I'm like, we're probably gonna meet Chris in part 2, but we're meeting Chris so soon, and I'm like, I don't understand why you guys are doing this so fast and not doing it in a well way. And another thing was, I feel like they're trying to separate themselves so much from the movie, so they're trying to change things and take moments away that you just don't even know. I'm feeling like you guys are just trying to be so different. You guys need to pick a plan, this girl, I think she passed away when she was 25, 26. And I'm like, there's can only be so much that's going to happen in someone's life at this moment. And I don't think you guys are justifying this. And I don't think you guys, and there are moments in every obstacle in this show that they put in front of her, whether it's her getting, because they really focus on her trying to get that English album out. They focus on the record label trying to get her that look, trying to get her that style. They're focusing on all these different things, but every single obstacle that they seem to encounter, honestly, it just seems like they're just knocking it away. Like, they're like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, it wasn't that big of a problem. Even with her brother, like I said, they focus a lot on her dad and her brother, which also, I hate the casting for her dad, especially her dad. Like, I'm like, this, because the way that they showed it in the movie, and the way that everyone talks about it, like, Abraham was someone, he loved his kids, he loved them a lot, but at the same time, he was also very strict. He liked things a certain way. And honestly, I don't think that this actor really portrays that really well. He can't seem to do both. Versus Edward James Olmos, yes, he can do both. He was great at that. But anyways, with her brother, they showcase, which I still don't understand this timeline. I really don't. Where, like, he seems to have gotten this girl pregnant, but I don't know if they get married before, or if he got her pregnant and maybe then they get married. Like, I don't know. I don't know about that. But they showcase that. And she seems so happy with him and so supportive. She's like, oh, go ahead, go on tour. Leave me here alone with the kid. Oh, you want to only focus on your music? You're 100% encouraged. Oh, you don't want to change a diaper? Yes. I'm like, that did not happen. I can tell you for a fact, she had fights. They're married. They're newly married. Everyone has fights, You're going to tell me that she never complained about you going on tour? You're going to tell me she never complained about you not changing a diaper? You guys had your obstacles. I'm like, you should have, if you're going to delve into all aspects of Selena's life, including the love story of her sister, including her brother, including their mom and dad's, like, love story, then why not showcase the negative? And I think that's my biggest critique of the whole show, was the fact that every negative moment, they never highlighted. They never show the dramatic. And I'm like, at this point, what you guys should have done should have been a documentary. It shouldn't have been a series, because series, it's a drama series. You're going to want that little zest, that little, like, drama, the little, Grey's Anatomy over the topness, because that's what a series is for any series. You can go, whether it's Supernatural, whether it's That 70s Show, whether it's Full House, no matter what it is, you want that little extra, like, drama there. And they just couldn't hit that. And I think what they really want to do is more of a documentary. Like, after watching this, I'm like, you guys aren't really showing everything. You guys are nitpicking what you want us to see. You guys are being careful about her image. You're being careful about your own image, which, again, I understand. None of us want to look bad, but then don't make this type of thing. Make it a documentary. Showcase her interviews, Maybe have, like, the record labels talking about Selena. Like, get them in on it. Be like, hey, what was it about her? Oh, she had these obstacles with the record label with not showcasing her image. Let's talk about that. They talk a little bit about the race factor, like, in her first album, how they changed her image and, like, why is she dressed like this? Oh, she's exotic. We have a Latin feel. I'm like, have the record labels talk about that. Have them delve into what it was in the 90s, being a Latin woman breaking into the American market. That would have been so much more interesting versus what they're trying to do here, which is 1,000 different things and making it perfect and Disney and princess. And I'm like, no, this isn't a good series, and I don't recommend the series. I'm so sorry. It's like, it was almost it was more disappointing than the Selena Mag 2 collection. In case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, so Mac came out with, like, the first collection, which was bomb. The second collection was, like, horrible. I don't know why they did that. They should just re-release the first one. The first one was amazing, but, not cruelty-free Mac, so I wouldn't have wanted it again. But nonetheless, I still have the shade. It's almost, actually, no, ooh, cool. I thought it was almost done. It's like my favorite shade. I don't know what I'm gonna do when it's gone. But anyways, that's pretty much all there is to Selena at this moment, or, like, kind of what I want to talk about. But yeah, so let me know what you guys thought. Have you seen it? Let me know. Did you guys agree with what I'm saying? Am I just crazy? Am I just being overly critical at this point? Because I do believe that could be a factor. But anyways, thank you for watching Resident Nerd Girl channel. Alright, bye!